श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. With the abundant blessings of our Acharya Swamiji, we are going through Srimad Bhagavad Gita with emphasis on the commentary of Adi Shankaracharya. We are on chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Now Bhagavan is trying to teach us what is Jnana and what is Vijnana. Jnana is textual knowledge. Vijnana is experience. This is what he has told us. Now, what is that textual knowledge that he is covering now? For that, you should know what your body consists of, what your surroundings, the Jagat, what you see around you, what it consists of, and who is Paramatma, and who is Atma inside the body, Jivatma. So these things one has to know. Now he is starting with describing the human body as consisting of 8 parts. Ashtadha Prakriti, 8-fold nature, 8-fold Prakriti. Prakriti is Maya, that is an indivisible power of Paramatma. Paramatma holds that power all the time. Now that Maya, that Prakriti, creates this Jagat, including our body. So the Jagat as well as our body is made up of 5 elements. Panchabhutas. Bhumihi, Apaha, Analaha, Vayuhu, Kham. The earth, the water, the fire, the air, and the space. This is what constitutes the Jagat, also constituting our body. Our body is no different from Jagat. Our body is no different from a hill or a tree or animal, whatever you see. All creation is consisting of these 5. And also there are 3 more. Manaha, Buddhihi, Ahankaraha. These of course vary. In the case of mountain, Manas, Buddhi and Ahankara are dormant. They are practically non-existing. In the case of animals, they are there, but in a lesser degree. In the case of human beings, they are well developed, but they are there. So this mind, intellect, and the sense of ego, sense of I, this is what constitutes the antakarana, the inner equipment, other than what you see outside the body. Of course, the outside body consists of sense organs, 5 sense organs, which we have seen before, which are not being mentioned here because it is included in this basic division. Now, Adi Shankara was at pains to explain. It's not necessary to go into so much detail, but it is a normal practice to understand this in the course of Vedanta study. So, I'm just mentioning it. So, what Adi Shankara is mentioning it, the word Prakriti, which Bhagavan is using here, does not refer to the human body or the created bodies. It refers to very subtle process of creation at the beginning, what Brahma starts with. So he says all these 5 plus 3, which are no doubt available to us for us to understand in gross form, but they were in a very subtle form at the time of creation. Now Bhagavan is talking about that because May Prakriti, he says, my Prakriti. He does not hold all these gross forms, he holds the subtle forms. What are those subtle forms? He explained. And for the 3, Manas, Buddhi, and Ahankara, he mentioned Ahankara, Mahat and Avyaktam. Starting with Avyaktam, it grows into Mahat and then it grows into Ahankara in the Vyashti, in the Samashti, in the overall gross, not gross, in the overall. In the overall aggregate, these are the terms used. Then they are being individualized, and when they are individualized, these are the terms used. So these are technical details of creation, not really very much required for us. And regarding the five Panchabhutas, they also have two variants. What we see is the gross. We can see the earth, we can feel the air, we can see the space, we can see the water, we can see the fire. These are gross forms. But in their original state, they are not visible. You cannot feel them because they are in subtle form. In the subtle form, they are only in the form of their innate properties, which are Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. For each element, there is a quality attached. Shabda, Sparsha, touch, Rupa, vision, the form, Rasa is the taste for the tongue, Gandha is the smell for the earth. So, all the five elements have got these five qualities. How they become gross, sthula, from sukshma to sthula, there is a process called panchikarana. I just mentioned it last time because there is a part of Vedanta study, how the subtle becomes gross. It's very interesting mathematical calculation. These five subtle elements, just imagine five subtle elements which are essentially Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha, not visible, not gross. Each of them combines with the remaining four in a certain proportion. Shabda, for example, half of Shabda is retained. The remaining half of Shabda is divided into the other four. Each will come to 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. Similarly, each of the elements, if you take Sparsha, half of Sparsha will remain with it. The remaining half Sparsha is divided into remaining four. Very mathematical. It's all explained by rishis. Look at that. And in those olden days, they have understood all this. So this is called process of Panchikarana. Accumulation in terms of five, because you divide into five parts, isn't it? One is a half part, another half is divided into four. So when you do this addition, when you do this change, then it results in a gross form. So whatever element we feel, we see, is not really pure. For example, earth. Earth is not pure earth. It has 1/4 of the other four: sky, space, water, air, fire. You know there is a fire inside the earth, it's hot. So that is of course a visible part. There are invisible qualities. Similarly, for each of them, even space has got the remaining four present. Then only this creation is completed. Because the gross elements constitute the creation, the Jagat, as well as our body. This is the process, the Prakriti process, creation process from the Mula Prakriti, from the foundational nature Prakriti. So that he mentioned. Then he is going to talk about higher things. अपरेयमितस्त्वन्यां प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे परां जीवभूतां महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत् iyam apara. Whatever has been described so far is lower nature. Apara, lower. Iyam apara. This is lower nature. That means there is something called higher nature. Param prakritam vidhi, me param prakritam vidhi. Understand my higher nature, my higher prakriti. Anyam, that is totally different from this. There is no connection between the lower and the higher. Lower and higher does not mean same prakriti develops into higher or something like that. No. It's not in that context these terms are used. These are totally different. Anya. One is different from the other. This is a higher one. What is that? Jiva Bhutam. That is the Jiva in each of the bodies which we have. In the entire creation, there is a Jiva, isn't it? And there has to be Samashti Jiva, aggregate Jiva, like we had for other lower nature also we had. So higher nature also there must be. So that he is calling as Jiva. Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho Yaya Idam Jagat Dharyate. By that Jiva, this whole earth is being supported. Dharyate. By that Jiva, this whole, because that is the Chaitanya. See, mere inert matter cannot stand on its own. That is a basic principle in our Vedanta. Inert matter has no existence. There has to be a Chaitanya. So that Jiva is the Chaitanya. That's why we call it Atma in the case of human body. Now he is calling it Jiva in a general sense. So that Jiva is what is supporting this entire creation. Idam Jagat Dharyate. Adi Shankara explains it very nicely this way. Apara anapara, nikrishta, ashuddha, anarthakari, samsara, bandhanatmika, yayam. Why it is called lower? Refers to Prakriti. Why it is called lower? He is explaining that. Anarthakari, ashuddha, it is impure. It results in misery. Samsara bandhanatmika, it results in samsara bandha, bondage of samsara. So what else would you call it other than lower nature? Then, itaha asyaha yathoktayaha to anyam vishuddham prakritim. The other one is completely pure. The one was impure, the other one is pure. Mama atma bhutam. It is myself. It is myself, which is shown as Deva. There is no difference, as you will see later on, between Deva and Paramatma. There is nothing like Deva Atma, but this is only for understanding individuality. We are using the term Deva. When we are talking about, just as we talked about the five elements in the gross form and subtle form, like that, everyone has got a twofold division. So when you talk about individual, we say Deva. When you talk about the samashti, the gross, the aggregate, then we say Paramatma. But there is no difference. In the case of Jivatma and Paramatma, there is no difference. That is why he is making the statement. It is the Jiva which is supporting the entire creation. Now he is explaining that. Mame Atma Bhutam Prakritim Vidhi Me Para Prakrishtam Jiva Bhutam Kshetrajna Lakshanam. Prakrishtam, it is superior. Para. Kshetrajna Lakshanam. What is superior about it? That is the Kshetrajna. Body is called Kshetra. There is a separate chapter on Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. So we will see more of it there. But he is introducing it here. Adi Shankara is introducing it here. Kshetrajna is one who knows the Kshetra. Kshetra is what is being known, Jada, inert. And Kshetrajna is the Chaitanya, is the sentient part. Prana Dharana Nimitta Bhutam. So that is what is supporting the prana. Because without prana, there is no life. And what is supporting the prana? Who is supplying the prana? That is Jiva. Prana Dharana Nimitta Bhutam. Yaya Prakritya Yadam Jagat Dharyate Antah Pravishtya. He is using a very important term here. Antah Pravishtya. By Paramatma entering into the creation in every speck of creation. There is no speck of creation where he is not present. That is the meaning of Antah Pravishtya. He enters inside. He is present everywhere. This is what Veda is teaching repeatedly. So he is saying that is how it is being supported. He said, no, Dharyate. How is it supported? It is supported because he is present himself. Paramatma himself is present. Now, in fact, scholars have given a comment that considering Jiva and the body, considering our body and our Jiva Atma who is present in our body, actually, Jiva is Swarupa Lakshanam body is tatastha lakshanam. These are terms, technical terms which are again used in Vedanta. Swarupa is actually what it is. Tatastha is not what it is, but it is an indicator. Like, if you want to see Arundhati star, you can't see Arundhati star. They show the finger at some nearest point, maybe a tree branch. Now look at this tree branch, look straight there, that is Arundhati. So the tree branch is not Arundhati. Tree branch is Tatastha Lakshana for Arundhati. That is, it is an indicator of uh, Arundhati. Similarly, body is an indicator of Jiva because the body functions as if it is sentient, isn't it? Eye functions, ear functions. I am able to speak, you are able to hear, but speech and hearing are all jada, inert. They become sentient because of Jiva, because Anta Pravishta, everywhere he is present. That is what he is saying. One is Tatastha Lakshana, another is Swarupa Lakshana. There are examples given by scholars like fire and spark. Spark is the body and fire is the Jivatma. Or you can put it the other way, fire is the Paramatma and spark is the Jivatma. And the smoke which comes out of the fire is the body. Smoke is the body, spark is the Jiva, and fire is Paramatma. This is another way of understanding. In Uddhava Gita, Bhagavan teaches Uddhava. There he says, Vilakshana Sthula Sukshmate Dehad Atmekshita Swadruk Yathagnir Daruno Dahyat Dahagonya Prakashakaha Sthula Sukshmate Vilakshanaha. The body is Sula, gross. Sukshma is the mind and other things. Now, Deva is not both of these that we have explained, Apara Prakriti and Para Prakriti. So he says, Vilakshanaha Sula Sukshma, different from having a different characteristic from these two, Sula and Sukshma. Dehat Atma Ikshita Swadrik. That is the Atma which is there, which is different from the body and which is self-luminant, self-effulgent. You don't need another light for seeing it. It is light by itself. Yathagnirdharuno dakhyate dahakonyah prakashakaha. If there is a piece of wood and it has caught fire. Now, fire is different from the wood, but from a distance, you don't see the wood, you see only the fire. Similarly, this fire is the Atma and the wood is body. Body is not seen in the case of fire. Dahakaha, anyaha, prakashakaha. But the fire is the one which gives prakasha. But when you see the body, you see it has life. It's able to speak, it is able to move. So there is a prakasha in the body which is seen, visible. So that is the fire. And what is the gross matter? The blood, the flesh. That is the piece of wood. So that is the explanation given there. भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कारयति यं मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा अपरेयमितस्त्वन्यां प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम् इव भूतां महाबाहो एदं धार्यते जगत् एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा एतद् योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणि इति उपधारय. Upadharaya means understand. Understand that sarvani bhutani, all living beings. Bhuta is a term generally used for a living being, not for a hill. So, all living beings, please understand that all living beings are etad yonini, whatever I have described so far. They have the same source. Yoni means source. The source is the same. Their composition is the same, whatever I have described, the lower Prakriti and the higher Prakriti. That means the Jiva and the eightfold Prakriti, all that is present in every living being. Aham Krishnasya Jagataha Prabhava Pralayasthatha. But who starts all this process of creation? I start. Krishnasya Jagataha, entire Jagat, entire world which you see around you. Jagat is a term which is used for describing whatever you see around you, everything. So, Krishnasya Jagataha, entire world with no exception. Prabhavaha, creation. Pralayaha, dissolution. They are all created, they all get dissolved at one time. Nothing will be there. How is it possible? When so much creation takes place and so much is also dissolved into Paramatma. That is the Paramatma. So he says, it is the Paramatma who creates and who dissolves the entire creation. When he says Aham, he means Paramatma. I. Matta parataram nanyate kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana. There is nothing different from me as a reason. Parataram is being explained as anyate karanantaram. There is not a separate source, not separate cause other than me. Matta parataram nanyate kinchit asti. Nothing. No, you don't have any doubt on that. Kinchit. Not even a slight bit other than me is the source of all this creation. There is only one source, that is Paramatma. Don't expect that, okay, but there may be something else. That means that Maya, though it is the source of creation, is actually part of Paramatma. It is the Shakti of Paramatma. That is why it is not different, non-different from Paramatma. That is a basic philosophy. So that is why he is making it clear. Matta parataram nanyate. There is nothing different from me. Anyate karanantaram kinchit na vidyate. Ahameva jagat karanam ityarthaha. I am only the source of all this jagat. Mayi sarvamidam protam sutre jagat सूत्रे मणिगणा इव यस्मात् एवं तस्मात् मयि परमेश्वरे सर्वाणि भूतानि सर्वमिदं जगत्. All this world is sewn into me like sutre manigana iva. You imagine a string in which there are lot of pearls put together, strung together. Imagine a piece of string in which all the pearls are strung together. That is, a necklace is formed, isn't it? So he says, I am the sutra, I am the string, all this manigana, or what you see around you, the created jagat. Without the sutra, will it stay as a necklace? No, it won't. So sutra is basic, manigana is superimposed. So he says, sutre manigana iva. In fact, Adi Shankara is also giving another example. Dirghatantushu patavat. That is a piece of cloth in which there are what's called warp and woof. The longer direction thread and the shorter direction cross thread. So, Dirghatantushu, the longer thread, the warp and the cloth. Warp and the cloth. That is all. Cloth is what you see. Warp is the basic thing. So he says, Mayi sarvam idam protam. Protam means sewn together, put together. एतद् योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणि इत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा मत्तः परतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव. So two important points have been brought out so far. One is, it is Paramatma who is responsible for all this. And he is present everywhere. Antah pravishya. He is present everywhere. Every speck of creation, every speck of our body, every speck of creation around you, he is present. Sutre Manigana Iva. So these two basic concepts have been brought out. Now he is explaining it further because he said, Jnana and Vijnana I will teach you. So he is in the process of teaching Jnana to us. Prasohamapsakavanteye prabhasmi shashisuryayoho pranava sarvavedeshu shabdakhe paurusham drashu Mayasarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva, he said, isn't it? I am the sutra and all of this mani, pearls around that. So, gems, clusters of gems, thread. Now, he is now coming to basic units of creation because he said, no, 5 elements constitute the creation. So, he's taking up some of the elements and giving the basic property of that element. Because without the property, that element is not an element, is useless. So that property is Paramatma. Rasoham apsu kavanteya aham apsu rasaha. In waters, I am the taste. Because Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Rasa is associated with water. So when you say, in fact, originally it was Rasa only. It became water by the process of Panchakarma. We saw that. So, after it became water, though it is now diluted as far as rasa itself is concerned, but what is the main quality? Rasa, the taste. So, who is that taste? I am that taste. I am the taste in rasa, in waters. Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayoho. Similarly, in moon and sun, Shashi and Surya. I am the Prabha. Prabha means light, shine, effulgence. I am the shine because without shine, what is sun and what is moon? Sun and moon are only for shine, isn't it? They exist only for shine. So who is that shine? Shine is myself. Pranava sarva vedeshu. Similarly, in all Vedas, I am the Pranava, Omkara, because all Vedas are having its base as Pranava, Omkara. It starts with Omkara and ends with Omkara. That is why whenever Veda is chanted, you will see it also starts with Om, Hari Om. Then it ends with again Hari Om. So it ends with Om and starts with Om. In Pushpanjali, in the normal Veda mantra which we use, is exactly explaining this. यो वेदादौ सरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः यो वेदादौ स्वरः प्रोक्तः that swara which is coming at the beginning of Veda, that is Om. Vedante cha pratisthitah, also it is established at the end of the Veda, at the beginning as well as at the end. Tasya prakritilinasya, that Omkara is embedded in the entire Prakriti, entire creation. Prakriti is the starting point of creation. We have seen it. So tasya Prakriti nasya, that Omkara which is embedded in the creation, ya parasya Maheshwaraha. Maheshwara is higher than that Omkara. Omkara is not Maheshwara. Omkara is what we saw is Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana. Omkara is the Tatastha Lakshana. Through Omkara we reach Parameshwara. Parasya Maheshwaraha. Now, Patanjali also makes this point. Tasya Vachakaha Pranavaha. He says, Pranava is the indicator, Vachakaha, of Parameshwara. It is also known as Shabda Brahma. Brahma is a term which is used for Veda also, as we have seen before. Brahma is a term not only used for Parabrahma, it is also used for Veda, because Veda is the life breath of that Parabrahma. So Shabda Brahman, it is the form of Shabda, isn't it? Veda is in the form of sound. Sound indicating Brahma. In Skanda Purana, we have that familiar story of once Brahma entering Kailasa for Shiva Darshana, and Subramanya and Ganapati were playing as children at the entrance. And Subramanya, he didn't bother about these two children. After all, they're children, why will I bother? He didn't pay any respects. He went straight inside. So Subramanya wanted to teach him a lesson. He called him. Then Brahma came. And he said, where are you going? I'm going for darshan of Shiva. Okay. Who are you? I said, he was surprised at this question. I am Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, and the four-faced Brahma. Okay. What is your special quality? I am the source of all Vedas. All Vedas are coming from me. Oh, is it so? So what is the starting point of Veda? He said Omkar. Om is the starting point. You recite some Veda, he said he recited starting with Om. Okay, stop. You started with Om, isn't it? Yes. What is the meaning of that Om? He started explaining in whatever way he knew, but it was not satisfactory. So immediately Subramanya struck him on his head and put him in jail, imprisoned him. And Shiva had to intervene for getting him out of jail because the whole process of creation had stopped. And Subramanya started doing the creation like Brahma did, but naturally it was different type of creation, not what Shiva wanted. So he stopped him from doing the process of creation. He asked him to release Brahma from the prison. This is the story. And later on, Shiva himself asked Subramanya, do you know, first of all, you asked Brahma, do you know the meaning? Yes, I know. Tell me. For that, you have to become a Shishya and I have to become a Guru, child. So he lifted the child. And then into the ears of Shiva, he taught the Pranavartha. The essence of Pranava is, there is a lot of written matter about Pranava. Akara, Okara, Makara. It consists of three, because the Pranava comes again and again in Bhagavad Gita. So this is the first time now it has come. It's going to come again and again. Akara, Okara, Makara. A, O, Ma. Three letters constitute. Then there is a Ardha Matra. Akara, Okara, Makara, Om. That is Ardha Matra. Bindu. So this Akara, Okara, Makara stands for Brahma, Vishnu. Shiva stands for Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti, the waking state, the dream state, the deep sleep state. Like this, Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, we have three Shariras in our body, the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. It is the causal body which travels with us. Sthula and Sukshma left behind. Causal body travels with us from birth to birth. So there are threefold division in nature in many cases. So all, whichever is threefold, have got this Akara, Okara, Makara. What does it mean? It means Omkara is permeating everything in the whole creation. Whatever you say, it comes to these three again and again, whichever way you look at it. So that is why he is saying Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. I am the Pranava in all the Vedas. Paramatma is the Pranava. Shabdaha Khe come in space. In space, I am the sound, because for each of the elements there's got a property, we said, isn't it? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. He talked about Rasa earlier, now he is talking about Shabda. It's associated with space. Only when there is space, the sound travels, otherwise sound will not travel. Paurusham, Drishu, in men, I am the manhood, Paurusham, Purusha Swabhava. What does it mean? It means the courage, what man is known for. The courage to be able to fight adharma, the ability, the power, that is Paurusha. So that is me. I am that Paurusha. Punyogandha prathivyam che tejaschasmi vibhavasau jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu. So each of this should be understood as the essence of that particular element. That is why he said Rasoham Apsu. In waters, I am the element of Rasa. Similarly, in earth, I am the element of Gandha. But here he used an adjective. He could have said Gandha Prathivyam. I am the Gandha in Prithivi. I am the sense of smell in the earth. He used the word Punyo Gandha because good smell, pleasant smell. Because originally everything was pleasant at the time of creation. We make it unpleasant, we make it impure, isn't it? It is our contribution to creation that we are seeing. Pollution is our now being talked about in great detail. So that is why he is saying Punyo Gandha, Punyaha Surabhihi. It means fragrant smell. Shankara is explaining. Punyaha Surabhihi Gandhaha Prithivyam cha aham. I am that fragrant smell, pure smell. Tasminmayi Gandhabodhe Prithivi Pravata. In that smell, beautiful smell, Prithvi is sewn like that gem on a thread. The smell is the thread and the Prithvi is the gem. So like that for each of the elements you have to accordingly understand that he is himself saying. Punyatva Upalakshanartham. That means the Punya term has to be understood for everything. Though he is using only for smell, even for taste, he is mentioning it. Shankara is mentioning it. Even for taste, even for Shabda, even for Rupa, everything. Punya Rupaha, Punya Shabdaha. You have to understand that. Tejaschasme Vibhavaso. Vibhavaso is Agni. I am that brilliance in Agni. Agni is brilliant, isn't it? From a distance you can see, yes, there is Agni. Deeptihi cha asme vibhavaso agnau. I am the Deepti. Now regarding Punya, there is one more point which Shankara is mentioning. Apunyattam cha gandhadinam avidya dharmadi apeksham samsarinam bhuta vicheta samsarga nimittam bhavati. Now he is taking it to a higher level. This impurity, he is taking it to a higher level. Because the jivas basically are impure. Whatever they touch becomes impure. That is what Shankara is saying. Because jiva comes to earth with impurity. That is why he is born. So whatever punyo gandha, whatever was pure, whenever he touches, it becomes impure. Whether it is water, whether that is what he is saying nicely. Because of avidya, because of ignorance. But if you get jnana, if a person gets jnana, whatever he touches will become pure. Look at that. Because you are impure, you are making everything impure. If you become pure, everything will become pure. He is making that point. Apunyattantu gandhadinam avidya dharmadi apeksham samsarinam bhuta visheta samsarga nimittam bhavati. Because of contact with the element, you make them impure. Similarly, jivanam sarvabhuteshu. In all living beings, there is something called life. That life is myself. I am that life force. Otherwise, it is dead, isn't it? Tapaschasme tapasveshu. Similarly, there is a tapasvi, ascetic, who is performing austerity. That I am that austerity. I am that austerity. Without me, there is no tapasvi. He is called tapasvi because he is doing tapas, isn't it? I am that tapas. Tapaschasme tapasvishu. That means without my contribution, he cannot call himself a tapasvi. Just as without my contribution, earth will not have smell, fragrance. Similarly, for each of the activities. Without my contribution, moon and sun will not shine. Similarly, without my contribution, where is the question of tapas performing tapas? No. The power of his doing tapas is myself. So this is Paramatma's glory is being brought out. That is jnana. Glory of Paramatma you should know. And you should know that it is there everywhere around you. That is the message being brought out here. रसोऽहमप्सु कौन्तेये प्रभास्मि शशिसूर्ययोः प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु शब्दखे पौरुषं ऋषु पुण्यो गन्धः पृथिव्यां च तेजश्चास्मि विभावसौ जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु बीजं मां सर्वभूतानां विद्धि पार्थ सनातनम् बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमताम् अस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम् बलं बलवतां चाहं कामरागविवर्जितम् धर्माविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभ. He is going on the same strain. Further aspects he is explaining so that we will never misunderstand. We will never think that there is something other than Paramatma. That concept is totally being blown. Bijammam sarvabhutanam viddhi partha sanatanam. He partha viddhi. Understand. Sarvabhutanam sanatanam bijam mam viddhi. For all the living beings, there is an eternal bija. There is an eternal seed. That is myself. Why he is saying eternal? Because the living beings are not eternal. They go and come. But what goes and comes, what makes it go and come, there is something constant. That is me. Sanatana part of Sarvabhuta. There is a Sanatana part and there is a transient part, transient and permanent. It is the permanent part which travels as in the form of Karana Sharira. The Karana Sharira travels from body to body. How is it? What makes it travel? What is the power behind it? That is me. So there is a constant part. Bijam sarvabhutanam viddhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi. We are calling some people very intelligent, great intellectuals. Who is giving that greatness? Me. I am that buddhi. I am that intellect which you are praising of all those intellectuals. Tejasvinamaham. Similarly, some people you call Tejasvi. Tejasvi means that brilliance will be visible from a distance. Even from a distance, when you look at that jnani, you find a halo of jnana around his face. Even in picture, that is why they draw a halo, a circular halo of shine. This is the Tejas. Tejaha, Tejasvinamaham. I am that Tejas. Without me, where is that Tejas coming from? Buddhi is Viveka Shakti. That is, you discriminate between dharma and adharma. Even let us not take great intellectuals. Even any person, every person has got something called buddhi, intellect. What is it doing, that buddhi? It distinguishes between right and wrong, dharma and adharma. So that power of distinction is myself. Chedaha, pragalbhyam, that is brilliance or proficiency. If you take as intellectual capacity, that is also tejas. It may not be a visible shine, it is the intellect's shine. That is what now Shankara is trying to explain. Not Shankara, Madhusudana Saraswati is trying to explain. Paradhibhava samarthyam, paraishcha anabhibhavyatvam. That is tejas according to Madhusudana Saraswati. So tejas can be explained in different ways. His explanation is, you should be able to defeat everyone else, and no one should be able to defeat you. Para abhibhava samarthyam. You should have the capacity of defeating everyone. Defeating means intellectual arguments. Paraishcha anabhibhavya. You will never be defeated by anyone. That is called Tejas. That Tejas is myself. Actually, we saw Antapravishtya. Everywhere Bhagavan is present. That is why these powers come. That concept is coming from Vedas. Tat Srishtva Tadevanupravishat. Veda says that. Taittiriya Upanishad says that. After having created, he entered the creation. Tadaikshata Bahusyam Prajayeti. Chandogya Upanishad says that. That means before creation, he wanted to become many. He was single, all alone. He wanted to become many. Bahusyam Prajayeti. Tadaikshata. He desired. Then he became many. When you say he became many, He did not create many. He created many. But after creating, he entered. That is why you can say he became, isn't it? Everywhere there is Paramatma. So this concept is being repeatedly emphasized. Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Hey Bharatarshabha, best among Bharatagula progeny. Balam balavatam chaham. Some people you are calling as strong, very strong. Some people are not so strong. So everyone has got some strength. Everyone, every human being has got some strength, isn't it? There's nobody who is totally devoid of strength. What is that strength? That is myself. Kamaraga vivarjitam. Now he is putting an adjective for that strength. Because you may use that strength for harming somebody, isn't it? So far, whatever he mentioned was in general terms. Buddhis buddhivatam asmi, tejas tejasvinakam. There also buddhi can be used for wrong purposes. Tejas can be used for debating on a wrong point. Yes, possible. But he didn't mention it there. But here, when it comes to strength, it is obvious that you will definitely be tempted to use your strength for purposes of adharma. All adharma stems from kama and raga, desire and attachment. The kama and raga are beautifully defined here by Shankara. Kamaha, Trishna, asannikrishteshu vishayeshu. Whatever you don't have, you want to possess it, that is kama. Ragaha, ranjana, prapteshu vishayeshu. After getting that object, you develop attachment. You are worried whether that object will leave you. If it leaves, what will happen to me? And once it leaves, you are overcome with sorrow. So you are so much attached to that. That attachment is raga. The desire for possessing that object was kama. Yeah, that is our technical distinctions. So kama raga vivarjitam, devoid of kama and raga, desire and attachment. That strength, that only I am that strength. If you use that strength for wrong purposes, you cannot quote Bhagavan. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. So he is the I am using that strength now. God given strength. Yes, God given, but if you are using it for wrong purposes, he is not responsible for it. Kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Because kama he is always emphasizing right from the beginning. So he is now once again emphasizing, don't mistake that whatever karma you have in you, I am that karma. No. Yes, I am that karma, but with a clause, it's a condition. What is that? Dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kamaha asmi. Bhuteshu, in all living beings, kamaha asmi. Yes, I am the desire. I am the desire in all living beings. Desire for moksha, mumukshutvam. Everyone is supposed to have. That is also a desire, isn't it? Vairagya, we said. What is Vairagya? Developing detachment from mundane matters. And why do you develop detachment? For developing attachment to Paramatma, isn't it? So mumukshutvam goes with Vairagya. We saw that. Abhyasa and Vairagya. What is Abhyasa? Abhyasa is practicing that mumukshutvam, that desire for moksha, by simultaneously practicing detachment from mundane objects. So there is something called desire in every case, isn't it? In fact, everything is prompted by desire. Bhagavan himself agrees and he has mentioned it earlier also. No activity of human being is free from desire. So, if you take the highest desire of moksha, or if you take lower forms of desire, if they are driven by dharma, yes, you call me into question. If it is driven by adharma, I am not responsible for it. Dharma aviruddha, not opposed to dharma. Not opposed to dharma. Kama, not opposed to dharma. Not in consonance with dharma. That kama I am. So this is with a clause. Shastrarthene aviruddha kamaha. Yatha dehadharana matradyatha. This is what Shankara says. That's of course Because this entire Gita Shastra is Moksha Shastra, isn't it? Emphasis is on moksha, not on living our normal life. Further, there are other Dharma Shastras and so many other Chanakyas, Niti Shastra, so many other. We are also looking at Niti Shatakam. All that is for routine life. But Gita's emphasis is on Moksha Shastra, isn't it? So, the Dharma Viruddha Kamaha has to be understood in the context of moksha, like I mentioned now. Shastrarthena Aviruddha Kamaha. That desire which is not opposed to what Shastra tells. Whatever Shastra tells you, you travel this path, what Bhagavan has taught us. He has taught us Karma Yoga, he has taught us Dhyana Yoga. So many things he has taught us. So that is Shastra. So if you follow that track, that Kama is supported by him. Shastrarthena aviruddha Kama. Yatha deha dharana matradhyastha. He is giving an example. In the case of a jnani, what is desire for the jnani who is intent on moksha? Desire only to maintain the body. Because body has to be maintained for getting moksha. So his desire is only for maintaining the body. Deha dharana matra dhyartha. For him. Okay. That is for mumukshu. For ordinary people. Madhusudana Saraswati makes it clear. But Shankara does not make it clear. He stops with Moksha Shastra. Madhusudana Saraswati comes down to our level. He says, Kamaraga vivarjitam balam madrupatvena dheyam yatu samsarinam kamaraga karanam balam. Kama, as permitted in Shastra, Shastra permits certain levels of Kama, certain levels of desire. For a Grihastha, for a Brahmachari has to have a desire for knowledge. Similarly, Grihastha, he has got to have a desire for progeny and for following dharma so that he can do certain dharmic practices. But for a sannyasi, he is having only moksha, nothing else, jnana and moksha. So that is what he is saying. Kamaraga vivarjitam balam madrupatvena dheyam natu samsarinam kamaraga karanam balam. If you use your strength, that is a balam and kamaraga, both he has put together. He is also mentioning that. If you are using your strength for attaining your desires which are purely mundane, which are not supported by dharma or shastra, don't involve me. I am not that. So this has to be understood in two levels. One is for a moksha shastra, for a mumukshu, for a jnani, for a sannyasi. This desire is for moksha. For others, desire only as permitted in shastras. So that is why he is saying dharma aviruddha. Whatever dharma shastra says, if you follow that, okay. Otherwise, I am not that power. Ashanapānādi vishayah saha kāmah deha dharanamatra dhirta. For the case of jnani, Ashanapāna, food and drink, he needs for maintaining the body. So if he has a desire for food and drink, nothing wrong with that because he has to maintain the body. So that comment is made by Shankara. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhirbuddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu. It is not dharma viruddho. That dharma is very important. Aviruddha. Otherwise the meaning will become opposite. Dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Ekaiva satvika bhava rajasa samasa chaye mattaye veti tan vidhi nattvaham teshu te mayi. It's a very tricky statement he is making. He says, ekaiva satvikaha rajasaha tamasaha bhava. Whatever satvika bhavas, rajasa bhavas, tamasa bhavas, sattva, rajas, tamas we have seen before. Three gunas which constitute Prakriti. We said Prakriti, isn't it? Entire creation, we saw the Sthula part, the Panchabhutas, etc., etc. But the sukshma part, manas, buddhi, ahankara, that's all sukshma. That is made of what? That is made of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is, we can easily understand. Peace, shanti, that is sattva. Goodness, virtue, dharma, that is all sattva. Rajas is kama and krodha. You have passion for doing something, restlessness, keep on doing something for attaining something. That is rajasa. Tamasa, sleepy, sloth, lethargy. That is all tamasa. That is why it is ignorance, ajna. In fact, Vedanta Viveka Chudamani defines it very nicely. It says, Rajasa stands for Vikshepa Shakti and Tamasa stands for Avarana Shakti. Maya has got two Shaktis, two powers. One is hiding, concealing Paramatma, so that you don't see Paramatma. That is the concealing power, Maya. You see Maya only, you don't see Paramatma. That is concealment. That is Ajnana. When you are not putting in efforts, you want to sleep all the time. That is tamasa. That you are under sway of the concealing power of Maya. And then, if you are active, you are not stopped by that screen which is between you and Paramatma. You want to do something. Then Maya does something. It involves you in several activities. That is Vikshepa. Other than seeing Paramatma, other than realizing Paramatma, Maya involves you, engages you in crores of activities, in crores of desires, crores of sources of anger, all desires, all sources of anger, all activities, passion, multiple. That is Vikshepa. So Maya does two things. Avarana, Vikshepa, concealing and involving in distracting in multifarious aspects. That is Vikshepa, involving in multifarious aspects. So that is Rajasa. So this is defined nicely in Viveka Chudamani. So all that, all Sattvika emotions, all Rajasa emotions, all Tamasa emotions, they are all coming from me. Mattayeve titanvidhi mattayeva. They are all coming from me only. Tan, all those three which I have mentioned. Vidhi, no. Know that these three, Sattvika, Rajasa and Tamasa emotions stem from me only, no other source. So, Maya is a power of Paramatma, and this is all Maya, this concealing and Vikshepa. And also, Maya attracts you towards Paramatma if you are qualified. That is a Sattvika. So, if you keep yourself away from Rajasa and Tamasa and concentrate on Sattvika, in due course, you will attain Paramatma. That also is given by Maya only. So that we have to understand. Maya is not entirely vicious. It is also having positive aspects. That is Sattvika. So, in fact, there is a separate chapter on Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. That this will come again. So, I am the source of all the three gunas. Natvaham teshu te mayi. Here he is putting a very contradictory appearing clause. He says, Aham na teshu te mayi. I am not in them, they are in me. This is a straightforward statement he is making. I am not in them, they are in me. What does it mean? If they are in you, you have to be in them, isn't it? How is it possible that they are in you and you are not in them? How is it possible? The explanation is very interesting explanation. Explanation is Shankara gives this explanation. Yadyapi te mattaha jayante, though they are all sourced from me, they are all born from me, tathapi natu aham teshu tat adhinaha tad vashaha yatha samsarinaha. I am not under their sway like a samsari is. That means I am not in them. Natvaham teshu. I am not in them means I am not subject to their sway, subject to their influence, like an ordinary samsari is. The ordinary samsari is subject to these three gunas. He cannot wish away from these three gunas, whereas I am above these three gunas, gunatita, beyond the three gunas. He is going to talk about gunatita in another chapter. I am the beyond three gunas. These gunas have nothing to do with me. Yes, they are with me, they are part of me, but they are being used only for Maya Shakti. Like Maya Shakti is also a part of me, but I am not Maya Shakti. I am not subject to Maya. He is going to mention it in the next sloka. So, I am not subject to Maya. Maya is subject to me. I am not subject to these three gunas. These three gunas are subject to me, under my control. Te mayi, they are under my control. Te punaha mayi madvashaha madadhinaha, they are under me, they are under my control. That is the meaning. Very interesting, very little confusing, but very interesting. See how Bhagavan has made such statements in Bhagavad Gita to make it clear. Though apparently it looks confusing, but clarity is the aim. एकैव सात्विका भावा राजसाः तामसाश्च ये मत्तये वेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि. We stop with this today. We meet again tomorrow morning at 7 AM IST. Someday, tomorrow, 7 AM IST, I think so. Any questions?
Those who have questions, please unmute yourself, turn on your video and ask questions. Any questions, anybody? Please unmute yourself and turn on your video.
Namaskaram, Mama. Mama, about Jivatma, Paramatma, how we should take it? Like Jivatma is something an individual has. Paramatma is like something like divine. So is it we can call it as a subset, or how should we understand the concept of basically in Jivatma and Paramatma?
Okay. Now, Shankara has made it absolutely clear that there is no two, only one. Jevo Brahmaiva na aparaha. That is his statement. Jevaha Brahma eva. Jeva is Brahma only. Na aparaha, not different. This is basic Advaita Vedanta. So that we have to understand first. There is no difference. But we are feeling different because I think I am different from somebody else. That meaning of difference arises in me, in my mind. Has anyone taught me? Has anyone told me you are different from that fellow? That fellow is like this fellow is like that. Nobody is told. I am assuming that. I am using my intelligence to assume that I have a certain individuality different from others. So that is called ahankara. That ahankara stems from Maya. That is what is making Paramatma look like Devatma. That ahankara makes Paramatma look like Devatma. Devatma is Paramatma with Upadhi. This is the definition in Vedanta. Devatma is no different. But Paramatma with a limitation, with an attribute, with a quality. That quality is ahankara. So you drop ahankara like Jnani does. You are Paramatma. There are Devan Muktas. They are the living examples of Paramatma. That is the answer to your question.
Namaskaram. In Sloka 12, Bhagavan is telling that this Sattvic Guna, Rajas and Tamas, everything is coming from him. He is that. Whereas in
Yes.
Sloka 11, Dharma Viruddho Bhudeshu, he says that whatever is against Dharma, then he is not that.
Yeah,
Since
that is only to make it clear.
Then how can suddenly Bhagavan says that if it is not
That
Dharma?
is, that is the point. That is why we have been given buddhi, the intellect. He has given us the intellect, the power of the intellect, to distinguish between dharma and adharma. So what he says is, when you use that intellect for dharma, I am that power. When you use that same intellect for adharma, I am not that intellect. So he is not responsible for your falling into a pit. He is not responsible. He is responsible for your advancement, spiritual advancement. If you are going to aim at spiritual decay, that is your problem because you have used your intellect wrongly. That is the statement he is making. Why you decided to go that path? That is because of your karma. Because this is not the first time we are born, isn't it? We have been born crores of times. Every time we have developed a certain habit, and that habit is continuing with us. So that is the cycle. I mean, the whole Shastra is to break that cycle.
If the Jivatma uses his power to go in the Dharma way, that means if he is thinking that it is because of him, that is Ahankara. It is basically because it is
Exactly.
because Bhagavan is.
Yes, correct. Whenever you follow Dharma, think that you are being motivated by Bhagavan. That is, in fact, what Shastra teaches us. Otherwise, you may develop arrogance. Say, I am better than that fellow. I am following Dharma. That fellow is following Dharma. Isn't it?
So when we do Dharma, it is because of the.
Arrogance has no place, because your Dharma is Bhagavan. You are following you are using the power given by Bhagavan. That fellow has used it wrongly. That is his problem. Don't look at it. That is the lesson.
So if you are following Dharma, that means it is because of the grace of God that we are following that.
Because the power given by Bhagavan. Yes, correct. Not you because of your intelligence. That intelligence is also himself. That is what he is saying. Buddhir buddhi vadamas.
Thank you.
Okay, so we close for the day. We meet again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Sri Mahatripura Sundarye Jaya Jaya